Ukraine's military is calling Russia's bluff near the strategic city of Kherson. A military spokeswoman says Russia is creating an illusion that it's pulling out of the city to lure Ukrainian forces into street fighting. There have been indications of a possible Russian withdrawal from Kherson, but Moscow has also been sending in reinforcements. Meanwhile, Russia is planning to use more hardcore criminals to fight in the war. President Putin has signed a law to conscript murderers, drug dealers, and others who were recently released from prison. The move could potentially allow the deployment of hundreds of thousands of people who were previously banned from the military. Now, back in Ukraine, President Zelensky says he's not buying Iran's new claim about supplying military drones to Russia. Tehran did an about-face on Friday, saying it sent a limited number of drones to Moscow in the months before the war. The statement came after weeks of Iranian denials that it provided any drones to Russia. But President Zelensky says Iran's new claim still doesn't add up. So for more, Salma Abdelaziz joins us from Kyiv. So Salma, Ukraine pushing back hard on those drone claims by Iran.
Yeah, a very significant admission came from Iran's foreign minister to a press conference saying that, yes, Iran did provide a limited number of drones to Russia, but, and this is a very big but, it was prior to the conflict, months prior to this conflict, and that Iran has no knowledge that Russia is using those drones here in the war on Ukraine. Let me start by clarifying this right away, Kim. We do know that Iranian-made drones are being used here in Ukraine because Ukrainian officials have found the remnants of them after they've struck out apartment buildings or terrorized citizens, and they've been able to show those remnants to journalists as well. Now, what was also curious about that statement from Iran's foreign minister was then he went on to ask Ukraine to provide concrete evidence. Take a listen to how President Zelensky responded to all this.
Today, there were messages from Iran, from official representatives. There, they decided to admit that they did supply drones for Russian terror, but even in this confession, they lied. We shoot down at least 10 Iranian drones every day. And if Iran continues lying about the obvious, it means that the world will make even more efforts to investigate the terrorist cooperation between the Russian and Iranian regimes and what Russia is paying Iran for such cooperation.
Now, not only has Iran provided Russia with weapons, Western sources say that Tehran is preparing to send even more weapons to Russia, including more drones and ballistic missiles. That's, of course, very crucial to Russia. That's used a great deal of its arsenal here in the invasion of Ukraine. It could help boost the fight for Kherson. So a very curious statement there from Iran. And a final point, this could also have consequences for Iran itself, Kim. The United States, other allies have said they will step up sanctions if Iran continues to support Moscow in this fight.
And Salma, another story we're following, a Russia-appointed judge in the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic is in serious condition after an alleged assassination attempt. What more can you tell us about that?
Yes, very interesting report that came out in the evening hours yesterday. Russian appointed officials saying that a Russian-backed judge in the Donetsk region, this is a Russian-occupied region, is now in critical condition after there was an assassination attempt on him. Now, this judge is significant. He was the judge who sentenced 3 foreigners in June to death, including 2 British fighters who had been here fighting with Ukrainian forces. Now, Russian-backed officials, Moscow blaming Ukraine for this, Ukraine not responding. But this isn't the first time we've seen this, where Russian-backed officials have been attacked in these very shadowy circumstances. And you always get that sense, Kim, that yes, we have this open war on the battlefield, but there's also this other kind of covert war that happens in the shadows, Kim.
All right, thanks so much, Salma Abdelaziz, live in Kyiv.